Garry Kasparov, for decades, considered the best in chess, pummeling opponents both human and machine, until he finally met his match against IBM's supercomputer Deep Blue. That now infamous loss, emblematic of the rise of artificial intelligence. Still, Kasparov commanded a respect in Russia most could only dream of, until he turned his back on the Putin regime, opting to challenge it directly as opposition leader in 2005.
Tell your leaders that this regime is criminal, is a police state. They arrest people everywhere.
But then those same critics, among whom he counted himself, were rounded up or killed. In 2013, Kasparov fled, but is still a prominent critic of Putin's and a loud proponent of democracy, albeit from the much safer confines of New York. So, what does the former Russian opposition leader and chess grandmaster think about the current political climate in the US and the constant headlines of Russian meddling? Mr. Kasparov, very nice to have this chance to talk to you. Thank you for making the time. I had a chance to speak about that with Garry Kasparov earlier this fall. We started with his thoughts about the man currently occupying the White House. I mean, since 2016, your observations of him in office, what have you learned, do you think, about the type of leader, the type of person he is?
No, I mean, I was opposing Trump even from the early days of primaries. I mean, I could see the potential danger. But unfortunately, I think Trump was inevitable because somehow it was a reaction to this dull politics, and also the lack of response to the real problems of average Americans. Trump, just demonstrated that there were so many problems in American politics that were just, sort of pushed aside. Now, I have no doubt that Trump leadership could be a big challenge and eventually damage to U.S. long-term strategic interest. And one of the reasons is I heard what had been said about Trump by Putin and Russian propaganda machine, which Putin has been building in Russia since 2004-2005, and eventually pushed to America just to accomplish his big goal. So that's this industry will help Trump, and it did.
And what is Putin's goal? I mean, is it to push the West into a particular policy direction, or is it simply to destabilize for the sake of destabilizing?
Chaos, destabilization. Putin knows that militarily Russia today is a pale shadow of Soviet Union, economically as well. But he has tons of cash, a lot of resources, and he can use them the way he wants. So he, give him credit. I mean, KGB under Putin's leadership did a lot in infiltrating all elements of the free world, business, political, financial communities, and Trump's victory was somehow like a pinnacle of these efforts, that just to have someone in the Oval Office, not in the administration, in the Oval Office, who was openly sympathetic to Putin. Because he envies Putin, he envies Kim Jong-un. Trump wants to run his office the way he ran his business. I mean, just unbound leadership. And Putin is just, even if we set aside all the arguments that Trump had long-standing relations with Russian oligarchs, and some say, with certain justification, that he was and he's still an asset of Russians. Even if we set this aside, so psychologically Trump is obedient to Putin.
So just on that point, I mean, there's a part of Winter's Coming, your book, that speaks almost exactly to this. So you write, for at least a decade now, those who defend Putin either have something to gain from it or they are dangerously ignorant. Is Donald Trump one of those things?
Both. He's definitely ignorant, but again, we cannot just throw away all the reports about his relations with Russian oligarchs, the facts that just are making to the surface, that his collapsed real estate empire has been saved at least once by Russian money. And again, forget about Trump. I mean, I don't have to look at Trump. I can look at Putin. I have not met Putin, but I met enough KGB colonels in my life to know exactly how they think and how they act. The way Putin talks about Trump, the way Putin talks to Trump, it shows that he believes that Trump is an asset. I could see it, because he has very little respect and mostly contempt for foreign leaders because he knows that he can buy all of them. But it's different. He talks to Macron, he talks to Merkel, but Trump is just, I mean, he looks at him as, okay, now it's time to share the information.
So what is your worst fear? I mean, what keeps you up at night?
It's the negatives, the positives. There's something good about Trump presidency because I think it was a wake-up call. And Trump is aging. He's not highly effective intellectually. He's corrupt. He has so many flaws in his character. Now imagine younger, more effective, not corrupt. I mean, this is with ideological agenda, another Trump coming in. Because Trump demonstrated that even the man with so many flaws could win the presidency. I think it's a warning sign that even the United States, with its political system that has been established over more than 2 centuries, is vulnerable to Trumpism. My fear is not Trump. My fear is Trumpism. My fear is that populism could become a very attractive tool for new Trumps coming from far right or far left, because it worked. And in politics, if it works, somebody else will try to employ it and even to upgrade it. So I think it's very important that we have people, we the people, we have to reconsider how democracy works. I have, it's a glimpse of hope that you can see more and more young people now are interested in politics. So how can we start fixing things? I think it's not just, it's not one-off. It's not a process that could bear fruit tomorrow. So 2020 elections still will be old-fashioned elections. But hopefully we'll see things are changing. Hopefully we'll see, the politics will be reshaping here in Canada as well. Because again, maybe we have to start reconsider some basic ideas of representative democracy. Maybe we should offer individuals more opportunities to intervene in the political process in between elections.
Forgive me, because as I listen to you speak, I can't help but think about what you gave up in Russia to champion the cause that has been so passionate to you for so many years. I mean, given your career in chess, I mean, your wealth, your status, you could have lived a very different life.
Yeah,
Had you so chosen?
I don't know. They say there are roads that we choose and the roads that chose us. So, I grew up in the atmosphere where we revered Soviet dissidents, and it was a motto: "Do what you must, and so be it." And my mother taught me that it's game of chess is not just about winning or losing. Of course, it's about winning, but the most important thing is to make the difference. So you play the game, come up with new ideas. You can always push the horizon. So you create new ideas. You sort of improve the game, just the understanding of the game. And since I left chess, I follow the same rule. It's about making the difference. And I believe that I could make the difference by helping people to move in the right direction. People say, "Oh, but you lost the battle in Russia." Look, I knew when I started this fight in 2005, I stopped my professional career in chess and moved into Russian opposition, which still existed at the time, challenging Putin and his regime. I thought I could help my country just to stop sliding back into KGB dictatorship. It didn't work out, but look, today I can look at my kids and say I did what I could. And it ended up, by me leaving my country, settling my life in the United States, which was not my first choice. But I'm a happy man because I believe I did something that was right. And my mother, she's 82, she lives in Moscow. I mean, she was really devastated when I left, when I was forced to leave. But she recognized that that was only choice, you know, just I had to be a free man, I had to continue my fight. And she's happy and proud because, again, I did something that she taught me to fight for from early days.
Mr. Kasparov, thank you so much for taking the time to chat. I appreciate it.